And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we want to welcome you all to the Hello LLC. If you don't know what Hello stands for helping entrepreneurs leverage leading edge optimizations and short, simple, sweet. It's about helping everyone live life optimally. And today we are live in the Hello Plaza in Metaverse that you can join from your cell phone, your laptop, your iPad, and of course, if you have those VR headsets, come on in and come join us because you're going to be wowed by this conversation that we have today. And if you don't know, you're about to find out. Today, we are talking to the amazing Tyrone Poole. We are going to be having a conversation beyond the field, path to purpose. And if you do not know who Tyrone Poole is, buckle up, buttercups. So listen up. He's an author, he's a speaker, he's an inventor, he's an entrepreneur, and yes, a fitness evangelist. Please don't get that twisted. Not only that, he's a two-time Super Bowl champ with the New England Patriots. He was drafted first round in 1995. He played 14 years in the NFL, and right now he is committed to giving back with the Tyrone Poole 38 Foundation, which is focused on education, fitness, and humanitarian. And also, he has an amazing book that is called Ultimate Success in the Game of Life. And if you don't know anything else, it is Work That Thing with Tyrone Poole. And without further ado, Tyrone, brother, it is amazing to have you on here. Is there anything that I missed that the people should know about?
No, David, I think you guys got it right. I think Tara, she helped you put together that well-spoken piece. So I appreciate that, man. Praise God for the opportunity.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, it's great to have you, Tyrone. We get to speak to you all the time in Clubhouse, but it's so good to have you on here because we want to talk about what you're up to. This is, yes, you've accomplished amazing things off the field, and you're now accomplishing amazing things on the field, and now you're off the field. Let me get that right. Let's say that 10 times.
But after you finish hearing them, you're going to want to get your pads back and get back on the field.
No, right?
Exactly. So, I want to know really, share some upbringing and insights about, what it was like to grow up in LaGrange, Georgia, and how that really shaped your journey.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's, everybody has a luncheon pad. I like to call it a luncheon pad where it all started. And most of the time it's going to be, where you grew up, your hometown. So LaGrange, Georgia, a small city, probably about an hour and 20 minutes southwest of Atlanta, taking I-85, I-85 down south. You would go right past LaGrange, Georgia. And also LaGrange, Georgia, just to get those demographics correct, LaGrange, Georgia is about 45 minutes from Columbus, Georgia. So in between Atlanta and Columbus, you'll find LaGrange, Georgia. But I grew up only child. Sometimes I wished I had some siblings because it was kind of tough during my era. You had to, if you got into a fight, I didn't have that big brother. I didn't say, hey, let me go get my big brother or, my big sister at sometimes, so I had to fend for myself. But, it was a wonderful opportunity. I learned a lot just learning myself. But my parents, we had a lot of love. I grew up with my mom and my dad. Death was the only thing that separated my mom and dad. My dad passed in 2005. But I just remember, growing up where we were financially challenged. And there were some tough moments. But as I said, they were breeding grounds for developing a mentality that, I'm not going to stop. Life has to be better than this. So that was the start of the passion to push to become great. And, LaGrange is a small city, about 50,000 people, but a lot of great athletes have come out of LaGrange, Georgia. And I'll close with this. LaGrange, Georgia, for all the football fans that understand Georgia high school football, and Georgia high school football is very competitive. LaGrange, Georgia is the second winningest high school football program in the state of Georgia, right behind Valdosta High School. So that lets you know how thick the talent was. So to make it out of LaGrange, Georgia, you were pretty probably, above everybody else.
Yeah. And speaking of that and that childhood way of living in that town, and then going on to college and then getting drafted, I always, especially with the draft coming up right now, what was that thought process when you got drafted, in first round? Can you take us through, what that felt like and how that all came about?
Well, actually, I go back and I'll stick a little bit in LaGrange and then catapult to the draft. But again, growing up financially challenged, David and Tara, I remember the food stamps. I remember food stamps when they used to give you the paper, right? You had the paper food stamps. You had the purple, the brown. And I still remember to this day, right? Some things just get embedded in your head, but some things need to be embedded in your head so that it could be a remembrance, something you can go back to and say, hey, you know what? It's like pins that stick you. Anytime you want to sit down and be relaxed, you got to go back and think about some things that you overcame, and you don't want to go back to the past. So, but I remember going to the store and just moving around the store. Now, I already had what I wanted to buy, but because my other buddies would be in the store, I'll just keep moving around because I didn't want them to see me give food stamps to get a bag of potato chips, but, I remember all that stuff, man, the government cheese and the powdered milk and, that government cheese so thick that if you cut it too thick, look at here, you might choke yourself. So I remember all that, if you mix too much water with that powdered milk, now you're just drinking white water. If you don't put enough water, you're drinking some type of, thickness. But all those things motivated me to propel myself to help bring my family out of that situation. And I just remember one day when I was probably around 13 years old, coming in from playing outside like we would normally do. That's the difference between the kids today and the kids when we came up. It's like we staying outside, right? They had to tell us, hey, do your homework first. We trying to get outside. But today, the parents are the opposite. They telling the kids, get outside and do your homework later, But I come home and I see my mom, I come through the house going to the kitchen to get something to drink, something to eat. And as I walk into the kitchen, I heard some tears, crying. And it was my mom. She was crying. And I asked her, I'm like, what's wrong? I'm thinking, somebody tried to do something to my mother. You're like, hold on now. As a boy, you going to protect the mother, right? So I'm like, where's dad? My dad, he was always out trying to do things, trying to make ends meet. So my mom, she looked up to me. She was kneeled down with her back against the wall and her arms around her knees, man. And, she cried and looked up to me and she said, God doesn't want us to live like this. So again, you have to understand, for her to say that God doesn't want us to live like this, what type of situations and circumstances will we living under? Cutting the cable being cut off. I still remember when you hear that, you turn the TV on and you turn the station, you turn the knob again, you just turn the TV off, man. You like the cable being turned off, Then you go to the rabbit ears, But when I saw my mom crying, man, that was what, I guess if I say, made me say, hey, you know what? It's time. It's time to start grinding, right? It's time to work that thing, so to speak. So that catapulted me up to like all the years of having focus and limiting my distractions, because anytime I felt like I got distracted, I would always think back to my mom crying and how we came up, and it pushed me and it helped propel me through those moments where other people said, you know what, it's too hot out here. The meteorologist saying that it's going to be 98 degrees, but with the humidity here in Georgia, it's going to feel like it's 108. Take precautions. Nobody go outside. But I said, you know what? I got to go. Maybe I'll wait until it cools off, but I got to go. I got to go. And I think you and Tara, y'all probably had that same mindset. You got that mindset where I got to go because I got something I'm trying to achieve. So fast forward, the NFL draft, that moment when I got drafted, I had my party, a draft party here in Atlanta, Georgia. At the time, they were just taking the top 10 to New York where they had it every year in New York City. And I wasn't in the top 10, but I was in the first round, but I was 22nd. So I had my draft party in Atlanta, and family and friends and, college teammates and people from my college came up, and also surrounding city in the city. So the moment where it all came together, where all of the hustle and the bustle and the almost giving up and the cuts and the bruises, and I'm dragging my leg, but I'm still trying to get to that finish line. That moment when Paul Tagliabue called my name out, I'm in the back of the restaurant because they had a dedicated phone line that nobody could call in to but just the NFL teams. And when my agent, he came to me, he said, Tyrone, he said, the phone, the telephone is for you. So I get the phone, and, it's the Carolina Panthers. And they say, hey, it was Bill Polian. He says, hey, Tyrone, this is Bill Polian. How would you like to be a Carolina Panther? I'm like, man, what you mean? How would I like to be a Carolina Panther? I'm like, all them cuts. I didn't tell him that, but this is what I'm thinking. I played it real cool. I said, oh yeah, I love to be a Carolina Panther. Deep inside, I'm like, boy, look at here, it is here. So I talked to Bill Polian, talked to Dom Capers, who was the head coach at that time, and then after we hung up, I walked outside. And I gotta say this too. At the time when he asked me how would it feel to be a Carolina Panther, the whole restaurant just erupted. And that's when they had drafted me. They had turned in the card to Paul Tagliabue. And he said, with the 22nd pick in the first round, the Carolina Panthers select defensive back from Fort Valley State College, Tyrone Poole. So I'm still talking to Bill Polian and everything like that. So finally we hang up, and I walk outside. And this is why I tell people I got my spiritual moment when Christ said, it is finished. That was my spiritual moment when I walked out and I saw my mom and dad crying. And that was it. All that hard work and, quitting football in high school and still having the passion and the purpose to make it through all of the mines and the bombs and the holes and everything that could have distracted me. But I remember my mom crying. And like I said, when I got drafted, that was that Christ moment when he said, it is finished. And when I saw my mom and dad crying, I hugged them. In my mind, I said, it is finished. So, that's it, man.
Man, what an amazing feeling, especially when you go back and you remember about the upbringing. You remember about, the days you didn't want your friends to know what the real life was at home. I think there's so many kids out there. I know, I experienced it in a little bit of where I was, I didn't want people to know what was going on, in the sense, mine was usually my pants were too short or my shoes were too small. And it was because I grew so fast. It wasn't because, any other reason, but those struggles really, really do bring a sense of gratitude forward. And, that drives me into the, what really helped you and what really encouraged you to start the Tyrone Poole 38 Foundation? Why did you start that? And what are the main goals of that?
Well, that's a wonderful question. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to answer it. Again, I grew up in a family where I say it started with my granddad. I remember he was a mechanic. And he worked in Atlanta, College Park, actually. And he would come home on the weekends. And I remember, being with him and seeing him just give people money. Just giving people money. At the time, $5 was a lot back in the 80s. You get $5, man. You like, boy, look at here. I'm rich. Yeah. So I go straight to the video games, arcade games, putting out them quarters and them Miss Pac-Man and everything, Donkey Kong. So, that's something for kids of the 80s. So, but yeah, I started to see my granddad and how he would do things. And, I think that kind of like rubbed off on me. And when I got drafted, what I would do, and this was before Tyrone Poole 38 Foundation before someone told me, hey, Tyrone, there's a better way to do this. Just like with what you guys are doing. You guys are helping people understand that there's a better way to do this, a more efficient way, effective way to do it. So what I used to do when I got drafted, we have every Tuesday off. Every Tuesday, it was a league day. We all get Tuesdays off. So what I would do, since I was playing in Carolina, which was a skip, jump, and a hop, only probably a 35-minute, 40-minute flight. So I would call my mom, and I would tell her to find five families that needed food. And what I would do, I would go to a well-known wholesale store, and I would buy non-perishable goods. And I would make sure I get something from each, food group. And we would rent a van, and I'd drive to LaGrange. And we would go to every house that she actually had found somebody, and we would give them a box of food. And, just to see them with that smile. Saying, bless you, bless you. So I did that from 95 all the way up till 2010. And this is why it's important. I'm going to say this too. This is why it's important for you to hang around wise people. Because if I had been hanging around wise people prior, I probably could have started the Tyrone Poole 38 Foundation a long time ago. But I started in 2011, actually 2010. Everything went over 2011. Someone came to me and said, hey, Tyrone, you can have a greater reach and get more people involved if you set up a foundation where people can help give. Because I was giving from my pocket from those years. And so that's how it was. That's how it actually started.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
That's awesome. Reflecting on your time in New England, what lessons did you learn from Coach Belichick? What lessons did you learn from anybody, in football that you've now been able to bring back? The one thing, a prime example, I remember my coach sharing with us, hey, if you're not progressing, you're sliding down the path. And that's one thing that has always stuck with me. And I hold on to that flag every day through business, through working out, through relationships, through anything. What's one thing that you've held, true to your heart as you've moved forward after football?
Oh, that's a great question, David, as well. I learned a lot during my days in NFL, period. But what I learned from Bill Belichick that I think still applies to life. That's why I always say sports is a great metaphor for life. The principles. And the one principle that I learned playing in New England that I think will help anybody listening and watching is I learned how to adaptability. Because sometimes what you're trying to do may not work. It's not saying that it won't work. You may have to use. I think you guys have coined the term "use another key," right? A different key or something like that. But there you go. So sometimes it's not going to go the way you want it to go, and you still can get to where you want to go, but you have to make an adjustment. The flight that you wanted is not there. Say if you go into a particular city, the flight that you want is not available, but there's another flight, or maybe that flight gets canceled. Then you got to make an adjustment and catch the next flight, but you still get to your destination, right? So that's what I learned in my days in New England, that, delay doesn't mean denial. Delay just means that you got time to think about it, make some adjustments, change your structure, change your strategy if it's not working, but you still can get to your destiny.
Yeah. And I share this with people all the time is, closed doors, or old keys do not get you new doors. And a lot of the times we walk around with this old key thinking that, it's going to work. And something that we learned last week is what got us here won't get us there. And a lot of the times we have to be able to adapt. We have to be able to adjust. because what we learned in the past is not what's going to work for us in the future. And so often we're stuck in that mentality of, oh, this worked then, but now it should still hold true to now. Just like in football, you play one half of the game, and by the second half, you played a completely different defense, completely different offense than what you started with and that you trained for all week. You have to be able to adapt. And so often in business, so often in our lives, we're unwilling to adapt because we're like, oh, well, this is who I am, or I can't do that, or that's not me, and I'm not good at that. And this is where we share with people, you have to go from the I can't, right, to the I don't, to the I know, to the I do. And that's being able to adapt to these things that you want, because on the other side of success, right, is uncomfortability.
Yeah.
And that's what most people won't do, is get uncomfortable. And then we get into this phase of, oh, it didn't work. And I asked people earlier this week, when we really say it didn't work, did it not work or did we quit? Because that's two different mindsets. And a lot of the times we quit because we're not adapting, we're not adjusting, we're not relearning and retooling ourselves for it to work. And we're using outdated strategies to get us to the future. And so that's so spot on.
Yeah, something else you made me think about. I'm sorry, go ahead, Tara.
No, I was just going to say, as athletes, we all understand how important it is to adapt within the game.
Yeah.
I mean, I played basketball and volleyball all my life and softball all my life. Basketball was a constant changing game. They would one time down the court, they would be playing a zone. The next time down the court, they're playing man. The next time down the court, they're back to zone. And it's the adaptability. Go ahead, Tyrone. What were you going to add on to that?
I was just going to add on to what David was saying as well. Like he said, quit. I think like crisis, if people would accept crisis when a crisis happens, make the adjustment, but also understand that I believe that I look at myself, I use myself. I believe that I was the most creative during the crisis of my life.
Yeah.
Because crisis made me had to adjust, right? I had to adjust. I remember times when, again, I grew up financially challenged, and that's why I'm not afraid of losing anything, because I feel like when you really know how to grow something, you're not afraid. You're not fearful, because you're like, okay, the frost, kind of like thinking about spring and summer, spring and the fall, spring and the winter. Sometimes winter will kind of like come back and frost will hit the new buds that are trying to grow, right? And the roots are not touched, but the new growth is touched by the frost. So I always look at life like that when crisis happens, as long as I don't let it get into me, like David said, be afraid, but because fear is something that you harbor internally, and fear comes from a lack of knowledge. When you don't know something, you become fearful. But once you know something, you're never afraid. I don't care how much they try to scare you. You're not scared because you've been there before. So that's why I say embrace those crises. It's just like that new bud. If it doesn't get to the root, it can't kill the tree. It may slow the tree down. Half of the tree may look bare, but look at the tree. It's still living because the roots were not touched. And I believe in all of us, our root system is our mind system, how we think about things. So when crises come, we need to embrace these crises and adapt to them. And then we won't have no fear when a crisis happens again, because we'll be like, you know what? I've been here before. It may take a little bit of time, but you know what? I know this fight. I've been in this fight before. So let me lace up my gloves. I'm going to borrow the David term, buttercup, and let's go at it.
Well, that is such a great analogy, because it really does, at the end of the day, that adaptability is just key to everything, which, I want you to share with us, as you played from 95 to 14 seasons, 15 seasons?
12.
12. Well,
Yeah.
I'm just going to add 3 more on there for good.
I probably could have played. I got a story about that too, but yeah, 12 years.
Well, tell us about that story. We'd love to hear it.
Yeah. Well, there's a thing, a word people use called ego. And I believe egos are helpful and egos are harmful. It's how you utilize it. And towards the end of my career, I go to the Tennessee Titans. That's the last team I played with. And sometimes when we feel so good about ourselves, we can look at our talent, like our competition, and we can say, man, I am better than them. Are you kidding me? They got this dude playing in front of me. So myself being a starter, again, there's a difference between being a player, somebody who played for 12 years and somebody who started for 12 years. So when I got to Tennessee, they brought me in and I was playing behind some guys. Nothing against those guys. You know, I believe anybody who plays in the professional ranks of anything, corporate or athletically, you got some type of gift. So, but I just knew that I was, you know, hey, I should be starting, man. Are you kidding me? So at the end of the season, the Titans called me and they said they wanted to re-sign me. They wanted to bring me back. But they said they wanted me to play special teams. And they wanted me to be a gunner. That's the person that goes down and tries to tackle the punt returner. Now, the wise person today, if I could go back, I would tell that younger person, even though I was a 12-year vet, still compared to today, I'm, you know, still young back then. I would tell that young person, look, for them to say they want you to come back must mean that they like you. Number two, if they are telling you to be a gunner, they must still see speed that you possess. So they got to find some kind of way to put you on the roster. But see, the person with the ego didn't see it like that.
Yeah.
I said, look here, man. You guys want me to play what? A gunner? I've been starting at corner for about 12 years. And you want me to go to a gunner? That's a downgrade in my mind. So again, I didn't think that, hey, they were just giving me they had to put me down for something, but I would get an opportunity to go to training camp. And if I believed in myself, I would have won a position in training camp. But see, I didn't think like that. So that's why I say the ego can get you in trouble because it'll make you think you're better than what you are, but you need an ego because that's where your confidence comes from. So it's a balance. It's a balance. And on that occasion, I overplayed the ego to the point where I'm like, you know, it got me in trouble.
Yeah. Well, you know, we all have that experience. We've all had an ego experience where we've let our ego get a little bit too big for its britches and not understand that the gratitude in the situation and look at it from a different point of view, which brings back to that adaptability conversation, you know, of how to be adaptable in the situation and to say, well, let me get one foot back in the door and I'll show you. But, you know, again, we don't know that until we go through it. And then we go through it, and then we go through all types of feels about it. And then it takes a little bit of time to come down the pipeline to say, oh, if I would have played that hand differently, I might have been seeing something different. And, you know, I always say that in life, that's what happens. It's what's meant to be. You know, it is just what is so, because in reality, when you made your transition from being a professional football player into an entrepreneur and being able to give back to the community, how were you able to adapt to that and balance that when you changed that role so quickly? How did that, you know, show up in your life?
Well, again, that's why I'm thankful that you and David gave me the opportunity to talk about my past in sports, because, again, that's really my purpose, to use sports as a metaphor to not only help myself, but to help others. So that is my purpose. And before I answer that question, I'm going to say this. You mentioned, you know, every hand, the cards that are played to you, so to speak. There's a song that a lot of people in Clubhouse probably remember me singing this. It's the song "The Gambler," right? And there's some lyrics, a verse in that song where it says, every hand, he says, every gambler knows that every hand is a winner and every hand is a loser. So that is a life principle in that you can have a winning hand. Now, I don't know how many people listening have played spades, but going to a HBCU, Fort Valley State University, I'm like, we would play spades rather than go to class, or we'd be late for class because we like, hold on, we almost got 300, so we're 50 points away from 300, so we'll be late going to class trying to play spades. But when you play spades, you can have a Boston. A Boston means you have all the cards, 13 cards, winning hands, right? And if you don't play that hand right, you still can lose and only get 7 books, right? So again, when you said it's all about how you play it, right? And that's why I'm glad that you guys give me the opportunity to elaborate and connect the athletic world to the corporate world and how it's helping me now and how it can hopefully help other people. But going to your question, again, I've learned so much. Teamwork. I'm like, you got to have the right team. You can't just have people around you just because they are passionate, just because they want to do something. You got to have people who really can help you. But first, you got to know who you are, what you have, and what you can do. Just like a football team, that they're going to have the NFL draft tonight. Every team has sat down and looked at and done inventory. They done that end of the year inventory, and they say we are weak in this area, right? We need better coverage in the secondary. All right, maybe in business, okay, we need better salespeople. Our sales were down. Our phone calls were down. We need to go find somebody who can bring that up. And then if we can bring that up, it'll hopefully give us an opportunity to win a championship, because I think everybody is trying to win a championship, not only in sports, but in business. You're trying to finish the year with positive income. Right. So I've learned that you got to find the right team. And just because somebody's passionate doesn't mean that they are the best fit for you. Right. And I'll close with this very quick story about the movie, The 300. I love movies. I think there's a lot of life principles in movies. Well, this movie called The 300. Leonidas, they're on their way to fight the Persians. Right. And this humpback man, comes out of nowhere, right? Like he comes out of the rock, so to speak. And Leonidas is talking to his captain. And then the humpback man comes up and he wants to be a part of the fight, right? He has on the, their colors, and he got his shield and he got his arrow and all that stuff. And he's very passionate, right? Almost make you want to cry. He talked about how his dad was from Sparta, and he's want to fight to redeem his dad's glory. Great story. But the one thing that I remember from that story, this goes back to finding, you got to have the right players, but you got to know who you are first. Leonidas, after hearing this story, he says, lift up your shield. He says, sire, he says, lift up your shield. Lift it up as high as you can. So he starts struggling. And Leonidas told him, he said, what your father should have told you is how we protect ourselves. Each man has to protect the man across from him from the neck up. So he saw that he had a limitation that could hurt the team. But his passion, he still wanted to utilize it. So he says, you can't help us here, but you can help us over here. Yeah. So I learned that just because people are passionate doesn't mean that they have what is needed if you know who you are, what you have, and what you can do to help you win the victory. Sometimes they can become a weak link. And as we all know, the chain is only as strong as its weakest link. So I learned that from that movie, and I learned it from football. We won championships because across the board, we had people who were strong in their areas. And same thing in business. You got to find people who can bring things that will help your business be stronger.
Yeah.
And so often, a lot of the times, we won't be honest with ourselves of what we do have to bring to the table or what weakness we do have. And we think we have it all, that we are lifting that arm all the way up, and we're not. And if you can't lift it up, then this is where you have to go and, find somebody else that can do it. And also surround yourself with people that will help you build your story. that will help you understand the standards that you need to set within your life, within your business, and then more importantly, have those self disciplines, and more importantly, have the actual, the essence to be able to say, hey, this is what I don't do, this is what I do, and now we can do this together. And it's about teamwork. And
But
that's
check
something.
this out. But check this out, David. Just like what you're saying, you could tell people that. But also the other part of that movie that I didn't say, but now you gave me opportunity to say it. There are people in this world that if you tell them no, you can't help us here, they get mad at you. They get mad at you, then they want to try to hurt your business. They want to go around and try to talk about you. That's the same thing that Humpback Man did to Leonidas. That's how the 300, when they were on their way to kill, to fight the Persians, that's how they lost. Because the Humpback Man went back and told Xerxes, man, I know these movies like left and right, man. I just use it for great, stories. But the Humpback Man went and told Xerxes where the 300 were going to attack. And that's how people are in this world. I hate to say it, but that's how it is. And anybody listening, know I'm telling the truth. People would get mad at you because you did not give them the spot that they wanted. Instead of them saying, hey, you know what? I just want to be a part of the team. I want to help you wherever I can fit in. No, they'll get mad at you, take whatever little information they have and go give it to somebody else just so they can knock you off. And they'll say, see, you should have let me bid on the team. I did put you on the team, but you could not help us where you wanted. So you gave me opportunity to bring that part of the movie up as well.
Yeah, brother, because it comes down to the fact of there's enough abundance out here for us all to win. And we have this competitive mindset that you do you, I'ma do me. Let's see who gets to the top, especially from these old traditions and these old habits of that haterade that we talk about, and these people being mad at you because you're doing something that they're not doing. When me and Tara started our business, our family, our friends said, you can't do that. You guys can't move out of the country. You guys can't be digital nomads and run your business. Relationships and businesses don't work. We've been away from home now 2 years, and we're prospering in our business, and we're building our business bigger and better than what it was when we left. And now the joke is on all those people that now look at our social media and they cannot hate. Now those same people are coming back saying, hey, how'd you do that? And we are open arms to continue the same mantra that we've been sharing from the beginning. Stay humble, stay true, and everything in life will come true. And it's about really helping people from their mind, their body, and their soul, and understanding this up here is everything. And you have to believe in you just as we believed in ourselves. And that's what we share with people, is they got to continue to move forward. So, what advice would you give to an inspired athlete or an entrepreneur? Because we know those two things collide together. Knowing what you know now, especially through the story that you just shared of dropping the ego and saying, hey, let's go. What would be the main advice that you would give some of these youngsters right now?
Ooh, I'll just break it down in 3 sentences, but 3 different topics. 1, 2, and 3. 1, it's expensive on the front end, but it pays off on the back end. Right? It's going to be hard in the beginning, but if you stay the course, it's going to pay off on the back end, right? So as the coaches would tell us, put it in the bank today so you can withdraw it later on. The other thing that I would tell people is the student is only as good as the teacher, and the teacher, this is the other part of it, the teacher is only as good as the experience that the teacher has been exposed to. So when you're trying to find somebody, what I mean by that is when you're trying to find somebody to help you, you need to find a mentor who has a model of what you're trying to become, right? And I've said this before. If I pursuing my athletic career, if I had an opportunity to speak with Wayne Gretzky during that time, I had an opportunity to speak with Michael Jordan during that time, and I have an opportunity to speak with Deion Sanders during that time. All 3 of them are great mentors. I can't lose, man. They're going to give me some type of wisdom about working out, about life, doing the game, the whatever comes, the negative, the positive that comes with it. But only one of them has the model that fits me like a cookie cutter. That's Deion Sanders, because I played defensive back. So I always tell people, you got to find somebody, listen to everybody, because I believe everybody has a piece of the principle of life. But make sure you follow the people who have been where you're trying to go. So that's the second thing that I would tell people. And then the other thing I would just tell people is, just believe in yourself. Just believe in yourself. That's where it all starts. Because if, as the old saying goes, David and Tara, if you don't believe in yourself, then who will? If you don't believe in yourself, who will? And I think a lot of us, we allow other people to define who we are, right? And that's their dream. But what is your dream? Right? So look in the mirror, find out who you are and believe in yourself, and then go find that mentor who has a model, and always know that it's going to be hard, but it's expensive on the front end, but it will pay off on the back end.
It always does, and it always makes sense on the back end too. It's like, oh, that's why we did this. That's why I deposited all that hard work, or integrity, because that's a big thing too, is having that integrity intact. But as you share that, I'm not sure if a lot of people know, but you've written an amazing book called Ultimate Success in the Game of Life.
Yes.
So I want to know what inspired you to write that book and what you want readers to take away from that book.
Well, what inspired me to write the book, usually someone, and I believe this 100%, greatness is always called out of the crowd. Mm-hmm. Greatness is always called out of the crowd to the stage. Greatness never brings itself to the stage, meaning a lot of the things that we do in life, somebody inspired us to do it. Somebody encouraged us to do it because they saw something in us. So that's why I say greatness is usually, majority of the time, called out of you to the stage. So the book was called out of me. Someone came to me and said, Tyrone, man, your life is so inspirational. You quit football in high school, you go to an HBCU, Division II, and you still make it to the NFL, right? There are a lot of people who are going to make the same mistakes. You need to show them the principles of how you did it. So that's what I did. So I wrote the book, and it's my book. I wrote it. Let me take that back. It's my words in the book, but another publishing company put the structure of it together. Yeah. So the guy, just like we're doing right now, he interviewed me because at first he told me to write the book myself. And he would call me a week later. He said, Tyrone, you got anything for me? And his name was Neil. I said, no, Neil. I said, I ain't got nothing, man. He said, okay, I'll call you back next week. He called me back next week. Tyrone, you got anything? I said, no, Neil, I just can't come up with nothing, man. And then he said, okay, this is what we're going to do. He said, I'm going to interview you. And boom, the book came out. Just like the first question you asked, Tara, how was it growing up in LaGrange, Georgia? And man, I started talking and he recorded me. And then after we had gotten the book done, he sent me over the book and I read it. And of course, there were a few words that I said that he was like, okay, we can't really use that word there. So I'm okay with it, I said, yeah, I'm okay with it. But the book is a blueprint. It's a blueprint of principles that I learned, that I believe in. I believe in principles. And the book is called Ultimate Success in the Game of Life because the wise people, that's why it's great to have wise people around you so your plans will always go right. The title, they said, we came up with a bunch of titles, but Ultimate Success in the Game of Life stood out. And why did it stand out? Because the people that were helping me told me you want to create a series, right? So the title, Ultimate Success in the Game of Life. I could create another book, write another book, Ultimate Success in the Game of Health. Ultimate Success in the Game of Relationships. Ultimate Success in the Game of Life after divorce. Ultimate Success in the Game of Life after an injury. So Ultimate Success just led itself to a bunch of series of books that I could brand from Ultimate Success in the Game of Life. And that's basically how the book came about. Now, what I want people to get from this is that it's not where you start. It's not where you start. It's how you truly finish. It's not where you start. It's what you do where you are that determines how you finish. Let me correct that. So again, I'm going to say it again. It's not where you start. It's what you do where you are that determines how you finish. So it's all about how you see it. And I'll close with this. I was talking to the head coach from Fort Valley State today, Coach Gibbs, who reminded me, and it was funny, he said that he was watching the Division II the national championship game, and he said, "Guess who I saw them interviewing?" I said, "Who? Who you see?" He said, "I saw you. They were interviewing you, and that was the year that I got inducted into the Hall of Fame." And I went and copied it and everything like that. But as I was telling him, what I want, even the athletes at Fort Valley, I want them to know that just because you took the wrong exit, just because you were dealt the wrong cards, you feel, just because, I'm going to use track now as an example, just because one person has 5 hurdles in their lane and you only got 1 hurdle, or maybe you got 7 hurdles, don't look at the hurdles. What is your goal? Your goal is to get to the finish line. Right? Do you know your finish line? So what I want people to take from this book is that, again, it's not where you start, it's what you do where you are that determines your finish. And there are 12 principles in that book that will help you. For example, how your words impact you. Your words, what you say to yourself. What do you say to yourself when the chips are down? You say you got faith. Do you have that same faith when things look bad for you? They're bleak. And as the old saying goes, you don't have a window, a pot to pee in and a window to throw it out of. Do you still see yourself as a champion? Do you talk to yourself like you're still a champion? Well, like I said, I quit football in high school, right? But I still told myself, you are still a great athlete. You still gonna make it. We just got to make an adjustment, right? I had to make an adjustment. But because I still knew who I was, what I had, and what I could do, I still made it. So that's pretty much what I want people to get from the book, is that everything you will be in the future, is already in you right now. You're not waiting for nobody to bring you nothing. You're not waiting for another person. Stop waiting for yourself to get married. Stop waiting for this person to come into your life. Stop waiting for somebody to start treating you nice. Stop waiting until you move to a certain place. Stop waiting until you get some type of thing. That's not going to help, because everything you need to be successful is already in you. That's what I want them to get from this book. So the book, it gives a vivid picture of a person that you talk to and interact with every day, that you see how I grew up, the obstacles that I had, but still yet my belief. And I again go back to that ego thing, right? My ego, which gave me my confidence and said, you know what? I don't want to live like this. I'm not going to live like this. I'm going to do something different that's going to help my family and also impact other people around me. So that's the story behind the book, how it got started. And that's the purpose and what I want people to get from the book when they read it.
I love it. I love it, brother. And what I hear from that is be grateful, because everything that you have, you don't need anything else. And everything that you have, that's it. Because all the things that you want, you don't need them. And, the things that we have internally, good health, right? We're able to walk, we're able to get up, we're blessed to do the things that we want to do. Greatness is within inside of you. And it takes us to surround ourselves for those people to not call us out, but to call us up. And I think a lot of the times, especially in today's society, we don't want to be called up because that involves work, that involves change, that involves getting uncomfortable. And a lot of the times we don't want to do that. And I share with people, everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody's ready to die. And we have to be willing to give that sacrifice and be able to do the things that get us to the next level. And those are the steps in the book that you definitely share with us. And so, last question as we get out of here, right? Because we share with people, utilizing their social media because they get to live forever by you posting about your business, posting about your life, and all of these things. What accomplishments are you most proud of, and what are the future goals for Work That Thing with Miss Tyrone Poole?
Well, I'll start with the latter part of your question first. One thing that I did do, and again, I wish I had learned this stuff early in my career, but again, this is why I believe that my purpose is to take my life and study it, then cultivate it, and then serve it to all those who hear me or come in contact with me. The places where I messed up, when people listen to me, they should not have to go back and repeat where I messed up. Do I like that I did it, that it happened? No. But that's why I say you got to find somebody. The teacher is only as good as the experience that the teacher's been exposed to. But I say all that to say, even with my kids, right? I got business names. They all got businesses in their names. My daughter's name is Tyra. My son's name is Tyson. And Tyra, I tell her she did not get her name from no Tyra Banks, right? Tyrone. I didn't want to be like George Foreman and call her Tyretta and stuff like that. I didn't want her to get mad at me when she get in her 30s and they like, well, why did your parents name you that? So I said, hey, maybe Tyrone, Tyr, Tyra, Tyra. And Tyson, basically we went through a bunch of Tyson's, not Tyson, but a bunch of names, Tyrese, Tyrell, and I like Tyson. Tyson just sounded much stronger. And but what I did with them, I put businesses in their names. So Tyra Poole, she has a company, Tyra Poole, LLC, Tyson Poole LLC. So as they go into sports and with the NILs and stuff like that, or when they go into business themselves, they already got something created that they could start funneling into, and they can start paying themselves and take advantage of, whatever they can take advantage of. So again, going back to myself, a younger person, I wish that somebody had told me that, David and Tara. I wish somebody told me, Tyrone, create a Tyrone Poole enterprise and have the NFL teams pay your enterprise and let your enterprise pay you. Right. But again, this is why I say the student is only as good as the teacher, and the teacher is only as good as the experience that the teacher's been exposed to. And I wasn't exposed to people who were on that level. Not to say that they were bad people. They just, didn't know, because if they knew, they would have told me. Right. But thankfully, praise God, I know now. So that's what I'm doing now. And as I go forward into the world with Work That Thing, which was created by me and my daughter, and how that came about real quickly. She runs track, runs the 400. And I coach both of my kids through their sports from the 3rd grade all the way up until they got to high school. And my daughter still comes to me, asking about workouts. But when I was coaching her, and she had got to the point, I think middle school. And I said, well, she's getting ready to transition into high school, and I can't be with her. I gotta turn loose her hand and let her start preparing herself. So what I would do, I would give her the little card. I had a card that had everything from the warm up to the stretches, everything she needed to prepare herself for the race. And what I would do is just leave, and I go over to the tent, or I go to the, whatever, make sure she's in the right lane. She got everything. And then I'll be looking at her. And when I see that she's finished, I'll walk back over. And I would say, well, Tyra, I say, how you feel? I say, you ready to run? And she would say, yeah, I think I'm ready. I would say, okay, let's go work it. Let's go work it. And work it kind of, went into work that thing. So work that thing just simply means that whatever your thing is, you got to put work towards it. And I tell people it's all about the E, right? It's all about the E. In order to work that thing, whatever your thing is, you got to put effort to it. You got to put energy to it. You got to be efficient with it. This is if you want to maximize, right? You got to encourage yourself at times. So whatever your thing is, there will be opportunities that will try to hinder you, try to delay you, adversity. But if you are efficient, if you are effective in your approach, if you bring the right energy and you work that thing, you will accomplish what you're trying to do. So work that thing is a motivational statement, and also work that thing is a physical supplementation, right? That's the health component. So I believe in what I've learned in my football career. My body was my business. So not only did I have to take care of my mind, thank God my mind is good after playing 12 years, and also had to take care of my body. So work that thing is a statement that motivates you mentally, and work that thing supplements take care of your body. So I'm just trying to harness that energy. It's all about the E, and give it to people. Serve it to those who can hear and those that want to take care of their mind and their body.
Well, you ain't trying, brother. You doing.
Thank
And
you, guys.
brother, with that being said, share with the folks where they can get all this amazing information, where they can join your foundation, where they can get these amazing supplements that I know we're going to talk about. But you guys definitely, supplementation, your health is your wealth. That is everything. And tell people, where they can get more of that information from.
Well, again, David and Tara, thank you guys so much for this opportunity. I really do appreciate it. I'm just thankful that you guys gave me an opportunity to continue to be a soundboard where my voice can just bounce off and give me range, kind of like a singer, right? Get range. So you guys give me the range to get into people's ears. No, there you go, David. So I thank you guys for that first and foremost. I thank God for this opportunity always, giving thanks and glory to God. Without my spirituality, man, I don't know where I would be. So I thank God for Christ. And people that want to learn more about what I'm doing, you can go to Tyrone Poole 38.com, TyronePoole38.com. If you want to go directly to the supplements are found at workthatthing.com. But if you just want to make it easier for yourself, just go to TyronePoole38.com. There you'll find all the links to everything that I'm doing, the foundation, links to Work That Thing. If you want me to come and be a speaker, then you have that opportunity as well. So I would tell people, if you can remember my first name, my last name, and my football number 38, then you got me on all social medias and the website, TyronePoole38.com.
Absolutely.
I love it. We are so grateful to have you here today, Tyrone. It's, all of the information you shared is stuff I didn't know, so if I'm learning, I know there's other people that are going to be learning while they watch this. And when they watch this in the future, we encourage everybody to go out to TyronePoole38.com, check him out, follow him, make sure you follow him, make sure you support, because what he is doing when he shows up in Clubhouse and these other, social media applications, it is all about positivity, light, and how to help people move forward. And, like you said, about the 300 movie, there's not a lot of people out there that are going to do those things. When adversity does strike, they tend to have a negative mindset about that. So we are so grateful for you just as a human, for just being a part of our community. And what we mean by that is when you come in and support us, the positivity you bring, the love you bring, the encouragement you bring for others. And we can't wait to see what you do and what your legacy leaves behind. You got a long time. I'm not going to put nothing on you, but I was just saying, at the end of the day, it's a beautiful thing. So we encourage everybody to go out, check out Tyrone. We also want to encourage everybody to check us out every week live on Tuesdays for our How-To Tuesdays, our Wisdom Wednesdays, and then our live Thursdays that we do here, just like we are with Tyrone. And you can check us out at thehellollc.io. And last but not least, check out our metaverse. You guys can see that up on the screen right now as we've been trolling around and hanging out there during this conversation. And really, at the end of the day, guys, this is about community. This is how we come together. This is how we collaborate with Tyrone and his community of what he is doing and what we are doing and all the other people out there that are bringing good value to this earth. So we appreciate you. We love you. We thank you.
Yes.
And at that point, you know, we just encourage everybody to go support you.
Yeah.
Beers in a box. Get your beers in a box, right? But I want to say this as well, and that's a plug for you guys at Beers in a Box. But I want to say this as well. Those that are looking to try to get the book, you can find the book anywhere on any bookstore or social media platform. But I always tell people to go to my website and buy it from my website. The reason why is because when you buy it from Amazon and all these bookstores, the publishing company, the fees are divided. But when you go directly to my website, then you're helping me to fully help everybody that I can help, because I get all of the funding to help. Plus, the book comes personally autographed when you buy it from my website. So anybody out there got a book that's not signed, you know that person did not get it from my website. So
That's so true. We had a conversation the other day about that. And so we encourage everybody, please, please, please go buy direct. Don't go out to Amazon. Not that it's bad, but it's just the fact that the more money and the more funding that you send Tyrone's ways, the more ability that he's going to be able to help the community. And that's what this is about. Yeah. So we absolutely great. Lee, appreciate that you pointed that out, because that is a huge, factor I don't think a lot of people know.
Yeah, because a lot of people are, as you said, right, the ego. Well, I'm Amazon bestseller. I got this, I got that. Did you know, for all of you out there, when you hear people say that, you don't have, it's not based on number of people that buy your books. Literally right now, Tyrone can go put a book on Amazon. I can go put one, Tara can go put one, and we just have all of our friends go look up that book, and we're a bestseller without selling any books. Yeah. It's based on algorithms and all these other things, but it's not based off sales. And that's why we share with people our Biz in a Box is a perfect platform where you are able to get all of your money, and you have a system that is set up just as easy and easier than Amazon, because now you all should have an audio book. You all should have a digital copy of your book, because only 54% of people are reading one book a year, and they're not picking it up. People are listening. So that's why podcasts, that's why audiobook, that's why all of these things, especially in the metaverse that we implement, that you can be able to take your book and excel it threefold by being able to showcase it and create a different experience, which is something that you shared earlier. You can only grow with your teachers as much experience that they have. And this is where we share with people, you have to stop listening to people that are implementing old, outdated systems. They're not experiencing the new systems that are going to help you pivot your business into the future, because the future is changing and it's not going back. We're not using pagers. We're not using CDs or tapes anymore. We are literally upgrading to where now your cell phone is the new pager. And this is where we're sharing with people, you got to be able to adapt and get some new keys to open up some new doors. And that takes you to do something different if you want something different, and don't be that person talking about, oh, I'm doing this different, and you're not doing nothing different. You got to bust a move, not just talk about it. You got to walk it. And that's what we share with people. Let's thrive together. Let's join together, and let's pivot into the future together, because that's what it's all about. And so, Tyrone, brother, we can sit here and talk till next week, next year, but we're not going to take all that time. And so will you guys come and visit us next Thursday for our Hello Pivot? And always, we're welcoming new guests, anybody that wants to showcase their brand. And until next time, love,
kindness,
integrity,
but most importantly,
commitment and consistency.
And until next time,
toodles.
Bye, y'all.
See you guys later.
It's great to be with you.